Okay, good afternoon everybody, and I have a very good time here because you have all eaten and now you start to sleep. But I would like to start with a little sauna diplomacy here. Every day you are seeing from the TV what is happening in Ukraine or between Ukraine and Russia. And I have, or International Sauna Association has members in both countries. In Finland, we have been using sauna diplomacy quite a lot, especially when we have had political problems between Russia or previously Soviet Union. Maybe some of you have heard about President Kekkonen, who used to be the president of Republic of Finland from 1956 to 1982, and he was using really sauna diplomacy a lot. In his residence in Helsinki, there was a very good, and still is by the way, very good sauna. And there are many stories about how he was using that, but there is one special story when he was dealing with Khrushchev about something important, and they went to the sauna together, and President Kekkonen was closing the door, and he was opening it only after Khrushchev was willing to sign the papers. But this is not the only case where Finnish, especially Finnish presidents have been using sauna diplomacy. You probably also heard about the Peace Nobel Prize taker, President Ahtisaari, who has been doing a lot of work in United Nations. So he has been also using sauna diplomacy quite a lot, and he had specifically here in US 2 places where he took important politicians. One sauna is in Washington at the residence of the Finnish embassy, and the other one is not far away from United Nations in New York on the 10th Street. And especially there on the 10th Street, there is still a lot of pictures with some dignities President Ahtisaari has been taking there. And this Washington sauna, it's also still in use. It's one of those places where the important Americans want to get an invitation, and that is not very easy, but even though this sauna is warm, at least once a week also for visitors. The sauna diplomacy, 4 years ago we had the last International Sauna Congress, and there the Secretary of State, Mr. Pertti Torstila, was actually giving a presentation about this sauna diplomacy, and for some reason it was very widely referred in different media, and today there is quite often discussion going on that why not use sauna diplomacy in this case between Ukraine and Russia, because those are both sauna countries or banya countries, and why not we put those people, the important people, together into the sauna and wait results. But then somebody, I think it was not yesterday but day before, somebody said that no, it shouldn't be the Ukrainian guys, but it should be Putin and Obama. And I think that is not very good for Obama. Anyway, going a little further to this sauna diplomacy as such, so one thing which we have to keep in mind, and which actually Jarmo was briefly also mentioning, it's typical that when we go to the sauna, because we take our clothes off, we are equal there. So a good example is that when we had the Finnish president visiting our sauna, so when the president was coming into the sauna itself, so we were just using the first names, and naturally when we went out from there again, it was Mr. President, and I was only Risto Elomaa. But I think this is something typical for the Finnish sauna culture, that we are equal in the sauna, and I think it's something very interesting. Okay, this, many people have been asking, what is this International Sauna Association? I give a short explanation. First of all, it was established 20 years later than the Finnish Sauna Society. And you can guess that Finnish Sauna Society and their people were some of the founders, and that is true. But it was not only Finland who was actually the founding country. There were sauna societies from Japan, from Sweden, from Germany, from Austria, and from Netherlands, who were the founding countries in 1957. And from those founding countries, still today are in the association Japan, Austria, Germany, and Finland. But besides that, we have we have 15 national sauna organizations who are members of this International Sauna Association. And why this International Sauna Association was established and what it is doing today? When I've been listening to the presentations here today, I realized that the information about different type of sauna research, presentations, etc., it's not distributed worldwide. I can clearly see that there is a lot of material which, for example, we have in our database, which could have been helping some of the presenters here, but unfortunately it has not been found. And one of the main reasons is that this, there is in Germany a very big sauna archive, which was put together by Dr. Fritsche, starting from 1952 until 1982. And unfortunately, that material is in German language and it is not in digital form at all. But there is a lot of medical research, especially, which can be found there. And major part of that research work has been done actually in the old East Germany, because the Humboldt University in Berlin was one of the key places to do medical research and with sauna. And there we had another important professor, whose name you can find in many literature, and that is Professor Medical Dr. Eberhard Conradi. Unfortunately, Fritsche passed away already 15 years ago. Conradi is still alive, but over 80 years and cannot do any research anymore. The members of the International Sauna Association are really national sauna associations, and actually the last member who was just joining a few months ago is the Kenya Sauna Club. So
Kenya?
Kenya, yes. Kenya Sauna Club.
Are there 4 of them?
Sorry?
4 people?
No. It's actually quite a big group. We have to remember that in the Eastern Africa there has been quite many Scandinavians working there or living there, and they have been bringing the sauna culture there.
But there's also a sweat culture in Africa, a native sweat culture.
There is?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it hasn't been well documented, but I've found enough material to make me say, why can't we get more information out of Africa? Very similar to sweat lodges and things, but there is an indigenous sweat culture in Africa too.
Exactly, but you are absolutely right. I've been trying also to find some literature about the native sweat culture from Africa.
It's hard.
I have not been finding.
No, it's very difficult. I have very little information, but I think it's one of those areas that certainly should be explored.
Certainly, yes. So, still coming back to this material, so also one of the main tasks of this International Sauna Association is to collect this sauna material, I mean information, research work, etc. And as I said, most of that has been not in digital form, but the German Sauna Society has been transferring part of that material during the last few years, and there is very interesting database which is controlled by this International Sauna Association, which has the address www.saunaliterature.de. So it's in Germany, the domain, but material there is in mostly in English language. And I can give the address again later on, but I think it's worth visiting because you find from there quite a lot of interesting material. Then the one other subject which this International Sauna Association is doing is following the standardization and different norms which are coming out in different parts of the world. And now, honestly, I have to say so that I know nothing about the standardization or norms concerning sauna here in US, but I know quite a lot what is happening in Europe. And one important thing which we briefly discussed already with Mikkel is that in Europe, the European Union has been passing through a new standard which came out about 2 years ago and which is clearly specifying what kind of stove you can actually use in your sauna. Or actually it's not specifying what kind of stove, but it's specifying the energy efficiency of that stove and also the particle emission. And today in Europe, in all those European Union countries, if you want to sell a new stove, you have to fulfill this, and you must have the certificate to show that you can put this CE marking on your stove, wood-fired stove, so that you can sell it, and then naturally somebody else can buy it. And here, the Sauna Association has a task to follow this standardization so that the industry cannot dictate too much, but also we users, we can have such stoves and such sauna equipment that they are acceptable for us and they are good for good sauna spirit, for good löyly. Unfortunately, the standard does not say that in a stove there has to be so much stones, because that is naturally the most important part for the good löyly. Okay, we can take the first picture. Jarmo was covering this part actually already, but I just want quickly to say here that really today it's about 125 languages which is using the word sauna, and it's been used a long time there. And unfortunately, we don't have here a sound, but really, exactly as he said earlier, so this löyly, which is not only the steam, it includes the smell, the vapor, and also the noise which is coming from that. Next, please. Briefly, we did, or actually the Finnish tourist board did a survey. There was about 2,300 foreign tourists, and it was checking what they think about where the sauna comes from. And most people thought that it's originally a Finnish invention, and as we have heard already today, it's been created all over the world. We Finns have been only keeping it a long time and have been developing it to that direction that it is something we like. Sorry, this was the one which is showing that really about 75% were thinking really that it is affected to Finland.
Okay.
Yeah. This picture must be in every presentation. That is from northeast part of Sweden or somewhere on the border of Finland and Sweden. There was a group of French scientists visiting, traveling through. You may have the picture there. Too.
Everybody has it,
Yes.
yeah.
So, but the important thing here is this is a smoke sauna, and it's showing. I mean, the French people were a little surprised to see how the Finns or the Swedes are using the sauna, but it's showing all the basic elements there. And also here, one important thing is that the best way to have a sauna is naked.
This is 1799.
Yeah, 99. And I know now exactly what sauna it was, by the way. We were visiting that in the, it's on the, near the Kukkolankoski, on the Swedish side of Tornio River.
There's an actual sauna that was.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
still
anymore
there?
there,
No,
but it was
okay.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I'm always talking about this smoke sauna, and I realize that some people don't understand at all what it means. So it means that there is no stack. So the smoke is inside the sauna building itself, and when the heating is over, so then naturally the smoke is taken out from there before you go in. But this means that it's cleaning the whole room also very well, and that's why also smoke sauna is very hygienic. Next, please.
We'll spend a lot more time about the smoke sauna later.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Later
Yes, yes. That's why I
presentation.
don't. So this is trying to show a little those differences between the different sauna types, and this number one here is. I mean, we have here the temperature, and here is the humidity,
have a
showing
sip.
how many grams of humidity or water you have in a kilogram of air. And this is the area where we typically have the Finnish sauna. To be honest, these figures could be in a little different positions, and I don't have here the banya at all.
Which is similar to Finnish one.
What it is, to me, a little more humid than the Finnish one, and a little higher temperature. Okay, no,
Next
not
one?
this next. Yes,
Okay.
Next.
Next.
Well, here is a beautiful sauna in the northeast part of Finland, and a typical. So it's a log house, and you have the river. Yeah. Still about history. So this is the time when sauna was actually present all over Europe. So it goes even, and here is even mentioned Indian Sweda, which is a type of sweat lodge. Next, please. And then the favorite one, which is again the smoke sauna. And here is a typical stove of a smoke sauna. This is called. And many of the smoke saunas are heated actually from outside. And this is a very, let's say, very primitive smoke sauna stove. And these are typical, especially if we cross the border and go to the Karelia, which is today part of Russia.
I'll go through these.
This is, yeah,
Sorry.
we can go.
Whoops.
Here was something which I still wanted to
Yeah.
say. No, not this one, where there was the Venix.
Sorry.
So, wrong
Okay,
direction.
I have to go up to the Vinix, sorry. Okay, so that would be, where are the Vinix?
Next one, I think.
This one?
No, one more. No.
There.
Where did you have them?
I don't know.
Okay,
Here, no, here,
well,
there.
Anyway,
I got it, I got it.
here. And this is a culture which
That's
should come back. I mean, to use the Venix, either so that you use vihta yourself, or there is a special person who is whisking you and giving you the treatment. In Russia, they call this, today I understood, phytothermal massage.
Physiotherapy
Physiotherapy.
massage.
No, no, yeah. Okay, next. I think we are very near. Yeah. Then, important thing after the sauna is that you are relaxing, you are cooling down, and you are relaxing. And one more message which I got actually from the the CEO of this North American Sauna Association. So he was worried that the sauna culture in this country is reasonable, low level. So 80% of the saunas are bad, and the rest are even worse. And one thing I think behind is that you Americans, you don't have time to spend in the sauna. You need this 2.5 hours minimum, as Jarmo said earlier. And if somebody's asking me to go to the sauna and he has 20 minutes, I say, no, I don't want to do it. There should be one more picture.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a typical, actually this is not public sauna, but a typical public sauna in Finland. And here is, I wanted to say, a big difference between Finland and, for example, Germany. In Germany, there are about 10,000 public saunas. In Finland, we have those 15 maybe. In Germany, in those 10,000 saunas, they have about 50 million visitors per year. And
Yeah.
this is something that has been changing. The same thing is in Japan. Many of the Japanese baths are public. There is practically in every corner there is a sento, so you can go in and clean yourself.
It's my understanding that in Germany, by law, if you build a public space, swimming pool, a sports hall, anything athletic, it's by law you have to include a sauna.
I don't know if it is a law, but
But it's
you-
by fact, that's what happens.
that happens.
And I've
yes.
heard that it's a law. So it's a government, what I'm trying to say is that the government program can encourage such a thing.
But there are just saunas, thermas. In Germany, you build like thermas, that's it. And after that, it's everything else is additional. You see, this is the wrong way from my point. I agree with, with our speaker at this point. It should be for sauna, not sauna as addition to health. After that, you have junk, which we haven't discussed.
No, absolutely. And if you go to Germany, most of the saunas you go to, the quality is
Germany has
extraordinary.
incredible saunas itself.
yeah.
You know, I know a place which is called Carlos Termen in Aachen. 26 different saunas in one place.
Yep. And this is that place is, by the way, very important for the sauna, because 1999 there was the International Sauna Congress also. And during that Congress, actually, the International Sauna Association decided to specify what sauna is. And there were those 3 important things. There has to be a stove. On the stove there has to be stones, and then there must be a possibility to control the humidity by having water on the stones. And these 3 things are the specifying that is a sauna. And this was followed by a law in Germany that, for example, if you have an infrared cabin, you cannot call it as a sauna. You are fined.
It's a microwave.
It's a microwave, microwave oven.
Yeah. The other thing about Germany, I just want to jump in on that, because you were telling me, I think when we met in Helsinki,
Yep.
that there's an annual contest between the sauna meisters.
Yep.
And this was fascinating to me because, let me just finish. You know, one of the issues in this country with public baths is the issue of putting water on the rocks.
Yep.
Because frankly, it can, let's face it, it can be a little dangerous if someone comes in and pours a lot of water on the rocks and doesn't ask anybody in the room if they want the water on the rocks. So this is an issue I run into in public baths here. What Germany has done, they've created this position of Saunameister, and they become much more than just someone who puts water on the rocks. They become performers. And go ahead.
Yeah, and here was actually the last thing which I wanted to say. I don't know, do you have any kind of schools? Can you study sauna things at the university or
I
something
don't
like
think
that?
so. No.
I can tell you that in Finland it's the same thing. We don't have any sauna training in actual case in Finland. But for example, Germany has. They have very good training courses. And I have had, for example, I had just recently some friends from, or not friends, but people from Canada, and they wanted to have 8 people to a Saunameister training. The only place I found it was in Germany, and they were there 2 weeks trained and went back to Canada, and I think they are running there now, their sauna business.
But the thing you told me about that I really want to go to is a contest between these sauna meisters.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
They become performers.
Yeah.
So they get up there, and I've been in a few of them. I know what they do. Some of them treat it as a real holy kind of, they do chanting and they talk, and other people just come in and they're comedians. They tell jokes and then they throw the. So they have this contest every
have the
year.
contest, yes.
And you were your judge
Yeah,
this year, right?
Yeah, they have the contest,
And people are judged for their ability, it's like how good of a sauna meister you are.
and actually
I want to go to this contest.
in November,
Let's do it here, next year.
they are,
Why not? Or we should open a sauna meister school here. You're the educator.
problem which we have in Finland and in Russia. Every Russian thinks they are masters already.
Oh, geez. Oh, that's a problem. Yeah. That's
but you have many schools in Russia. So, for example, I know several people who are running sauna meister school in Moscow.
I don't know any school, believe me. Maybe they exist.
But-
They are
but-
not Russian
on
American.
paper.
But in my time,
The tax
everyone-
write-off.
you could come to a banya and it would be 50 people, each of them going to, basically do in a way they
That sounds right.
But anyway, so in a way, as a summary, so research is needed more, and we need also schools, training, up to university level.
I think the school idea, I think it's already there. I can see it happening. Look at this brain working.